The suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
I got Winnie Bucks.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Stoned Appetit. The voice you hear is a facade. I'm exhausted. My body aches, and I just don't have it in me. But your host, as always, it's me, Kip. Across the computer screen, I've got CB looking at me right now. CB, how are you, Big Bear?
It's Thanksgiving week. I'm doing fantastic. Sorry to steal Eve's choice of words, but I am doing great. You know, I'm gonna jet set later on this week to go see some fam, so I'm excited. And we just
Wait, you're leaving town this week?
Yeah.
Where are you going? San Diego or Alabama?
Charlotte.
Oh, nice. Go see the other family. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So doing that, and we kind of christened the new studio with a little party this weekend. So excited to talk about all of that.
I can literally feel it in my spine. Oh my God, I'm so sore. My body hurts so much. And our Queen Bee on the ones and twos, the MVP from the party itself. By the way, the party was a fundraiser. Shout out to our friends over at Taj and Danielle at Miss Buddy's Supper Club for doing the righteous things. But the Queen herself, Miss Evatha, how are you, sister?
Hello, I'm doing well.
I'm sorry, Chris stole your vernacular.
I know, I'm at a loss now.
Eve looks so cozy. It looks like she's got, like, if we moved frame, it looks like she's got a little cup of hot cocoa sitting nearby.
I wish.
Are you a hot cocoa over tea or coffee? I guess coffee at night's silly, but tea or cocoa over tea?
Hot cocoa all day.
Is that something you grew up on, or is that something as an adult you eat that was? Because we were not either of those things, but I'm just curious.
I had it as a kid, but hot chocolate, I'll probably drink it any time of day.
Kip, you didn't drink hot chocolate as a kid?
On occasion, we did like the Swiss
Miss packets?
Yeah, with the shitty little marshmallows, but that was literally only at Christmas, which Eve is not a fan of us jumping ahead of holidays. So we've got to go Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, then Christmas before we actually get all the way to talking about Christmas. So I'm not into that season yet, but I figured Eve being like hardened and with that cold heart of hers growing up in Maine, she's probably still drinking like cold beer, in a tank top. She makes fun of everybody else for being cold. This isn't cold. And then here she is nestled up in 50-degree weather.
I'm just wearing a sweater, but I'm not even going to tell you what I leave my apartment at. You'll cry.
Oh, that brings up.
We do need to talk about that. What is your temperature set at? And should we mute my camera before we do this, so I don't scream at you?
Oh, okay.
Is it like 77 because you're a psycho?
I just turn off the heat and I let it sit to where it goes. So usually it's around. Lately, it's been at 65. But when I got home, it was like 57, and I was like, okay.
I don't hate
Maybe I'll put up the heat to 65 at most.
I would much rather someone live in a colder temperate where it's like, oh, let's bundle up under a blanket or keep the socks on for a little while. Then if I come into the house and it's like 79 degrees, like goodness gracious.
No, 75's too warm.
Those people wear socks when they sleep too.
And when they fuck. Speaking of which, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors who fuck hard, our friends over at Ricky Seltzers. If without them, we wouldn't have had a great party this weekend. We wouldn't have been able to power through the work day today. We love our friends over at Ricky, and we can't thank them enough. You can find them at all three Mr. B's locations. So when you're stocking up for Thanksgiving wines, grab yourself a 4-pack or even one of the party packs and just put them away in that second refrigerator that we all grew up with. Some folks grew up with. If you don't have it, tuck it away in the bottom shelf, because everyone knows that that 22-year-old cousin will sink these things like a fucking stone. They're that delicious. They're friendly price point, and they have 7% alcohol in every single one. So a 12-pack equals a fifth of hooch. That's how you get through making family tolerable season.
You
Shout out
can
to
re-
Ricky.
you can really use Ricky as like a good base. Like before you get into like the finer tasting things, just get that base layer early in the afternoon and then start pounding wine.
Yeah. And then if you find yourself maybe trying to fry a turkey, catch your house on fire, catch yourself on fire, be glad you've got health insurance. And if you don't, we'd be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to our other sponsor, our friends at Connect for Health Colorado. It's open enrollment season, my friends. And if you're going into 2024 without insurance, you might as well just poke a hole in that condom and set your future ablaze. Because without insurance, you're surely going to wreck your pockets and potentially wreck your future. So be sure you're enrolled for healthcare this 2024 season. Open enrollment goes till January 15th. Besides a Friendsgiving recap, we want to let folks know how they can sign up to either volunteer or donate to the large campaign that is to feed the community here in Colorado this weekend. But before we get into the full details of that, we talked about it on Thursday. I want to get everyone's input on how they thought the party went on Saturday. Eve, you put in the most work, hands down. How do you feel it went?
I think it came together pretty well. Yeah. But it just came together. I was very nice. It was a good vibe. The music was a good choice.
Yeah.
Good on you, Kip. That was all you hiring the band.
And to be honest, those are, that's the community. Roma Ransom, we met through the industry scene. They were at an event with our friends from Mason Jar when we found them, and then we did a couple of events with them and just absolutely fell in love with them. But how could you not? Gordon and Grace are wonderful. If y'all are looking for a band that can either hold you over for a night or if you need them to play multiple events, they're fucking awesome. And that band is called Roma, Roma Ransom. And they really do set the vibe beautifully, don't they?
Yeah, it really added a lot.
Well,
more than I thought it would.
Not only like do they play like good music, good tunes, but like their smiles and how polite they are and just how nice they are, it sets a vibe. Because when you walk by, if you make eye contact with them, they're gonna grin at you and they're happy. Like it feels good when they're around.
Were you staring at them, Chris?
I was about to say, Chris, God damn it.
Did you make them uncomfortable?
This is why they won't return our calls to do it twice.
Thanks a lot.
Also, like I did quite a bit of work in the backyard too.
What'd you do? Let me hear it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I set out all the chairs on fucking Saturday, set all the tables, built 3 fucking heaters.
Wow.
I'm
listening.
All you did that day was make your Pinterest arrangements, which looked absolutely gorge, by the way.
Yeah, that day.
Martha Stewart would have loved that. Man, Chris, you are picking a fight you are not going to win. She slaved her ass off.
I know she did much. I know her shit.
I appreciate all y'all did. The party would not have gone off without a hitch if it wasn't for y'all. And so I can't tell y'all how much I appreciate that and how appreciative I am for y'all. Every now and then I tell y'all you're stupid or you don't work hard or maybe you have a smooth brain or you should wear a helmet. I'm looking at you, Chris. But every time I do that, you come back and redeem yourself 10 times over. And I just want to say, y'all are the Forrest Gump to my Lieutenant Dan.
Nice.
You're Forrest Gump. I'm not going to take that.
She took umbrage. Chris, and you weren't there the other day because honestly, we're blue and Forrest in this instance. But at the same time, Eve was like, no, when you posted that on social media, no one thinks you're Lieutenant Dan. Everyone knows you're Forrest. And I knew what she was saying. As someone who recently watched Shane Gillis's new stand-up, she's calling me Uncle Danny.
Brutal.
I know, she definitely was.
That's another guy we need. That's a whale, Shane Gillis. Start emailing him, Eve.
Yeah. What was the highlight of the evening for you, Chris? The band?
There were a couple things. number one was meeting a few newcomers. Like we had like quite a bit of like first time guests, and some of that came from people just wanting to support Taj and Danielle and their endeavor. And then part of that was just like people like coming with a friend who had been there before, which was great. But one of the funniest things was that, throwing the party in our house, like I wanted to meet the neighbors because I knew they were going to be coming. And so there's this one table at the dinner, and I went up to them, and there was like an older couple sitting there. And I remember hearing like one of our neighbors, they're like a older age couple or older aged. And so I went up to them and I was like, "Hey, are y'all our neighbors?" And they were just like, no, actually, yeah, we bought a ticket and came. And then I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't have anything in the pocket after that. Like I was kind of on the move. If they would have said like, "Hey, we're your neighbors," I'd have been like, "Oh, cool, bah." But like when they responded no, I didn't know how to react. And so I just kind of was like, "Oh, okay." And glad you're here. Let's have fun. And just left. But
God,
no,
you're fucking embarrassing.
I thought it was fun just because everybody there thought it was great, thought the scene looked good, and people were like, "Wow, this is really cool." The backyard at the house, I'm not gonna lie, everybody said it's a vibe, and it is. That fire pit in the middle really brings everything together.
No, I think that the backyard and the location just outside of Denver makes it a little bit easier. We're not making folks drive up to the mountains or things of that nature. I thought the turnout was really solid, and I can't reinforce what you said enough. Maybe not off putting the older couples that were there, but the
I
folks
wasn't
that were
off.
there. Yeah, you were, Chris. They were like, "We're leaving early. You have that creepy fuck that was watching me pee." No, we had it was a totally different crew than we usually have at these events. And it's probably because of Chef Taj and it being a fundraiser that we're hoping to at least donate $1,000 to personally, from our group to help raise money for MADSgiving. So I'll touch base with him to get the final total, and hopefully we can announce that on next week's episode because it's holiday week. But at the same time, not everybody smoked. Not everybody cared for a cocktail. Some people were just hanging out, drinking and eating snacks. Some people had gluten allergies. Some people had nut allergies. There was a litany of other like different foods for everybody. But that was the best part about it. It was the best way to kind of showcase exactly what we're about. Like we're not some like, oh, only pot at this party, or you're gonna you have to be a drug dealer that buys $10,000 rigs to be at this event. You just have to be a person that cares about the community, and that's all we want. And we try to make it a fun vibe. Like Eve said, I found the perfect band, and I did all that decor in the backyard that made it look so great. So we did what we did, but it's the community that makes it all worthwhile. And so getting our neighbors did come over, and Chris did meet them, and he did tell them that story. But one of the coolest parts was that we had 6 chefs there from different backgrounds, communities, and cultures around the city and around the world that were serving up dishes. And everybody had a different favorite bite. Like my favorite was probably the fried kugel, but that's because I was so stoned at that point that I probably ate 3 of them. But the mac and cheese topped with lamb when it was hot and that savory from Chef Loca was miraculous. And then like the roti and the turkey from fucking Taj, and Taj's turkey was like had that Jamaican flair to it in terms of the spices. Like you got a little bit of everything, but the sausage rolls and the appetizer, the pirate chef, if y'all don't know that guy, fucking Ian kills it. He knows his way around a buffet because he made that so approachable and delicious. Holy fuck.
Dude, also that one bite, Mark from the Pita Mafia, but then
Yeah,
what's the new thing called? What's his new
the
fuck?
screaming target,
That's it. Okay. But
the
that bite,
fried kugel.
Oh man, that thing was so damn good. Toward the end of the night when they were walking around with them, that was one of my favorite bites.
Eve, what was your favorite bite of the night? Oh, that rhymed. I'm a poet. Damn it, cut that out.
I'm keeping it. The green chili mashed potatoes with lamb on top. That was my favorite because I went back for seconds, and I think it had goat cheese in the mashed potatoes too. I think she said, yeah. So I went back for seconds, and I was hard to finish it because I overestimated, but I wanted to eat all of it. It was
Right?
delicious.
It's so good. So I brought
So
it home
good.
with me. We have I brought some of that home with me, Eve. It was
The mashed
so good.
potatoes.
The mashed potatoes with some of the
Oh,
lamb.
oh
Not
my
like a
Dude,
god.
lot, but the
the best
leftovers is the best part of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
the best part about that, because Dana was down there serving that, and seeing her serving sizes on everybody's dish was just
Oh,
hysterical. Like she would scoop up those mashed potatoes, throw that down on there, and then I literally saw her just pick up. It was almost like I mean, it was like the size of my fist of lamb, and just throw that on top, and it was just everybody walking by was just getting overloaded. She was having a good time.
I mean, so she fucking kills it. I had brunch at her place not too long ago, and now that she kind of has creative control after having to do the Casa Bonita and do that dance, now that she's back over at Cantina Loca, just like fucking around in the kitchen, she's just having some fun with some flavors. And I tell you what, green chili goat cheese mashed potatoes. Oh, and realistically, we could ball those up, Eve, since you and I are both going to be here for Thanksgiving and your parents aren't going to come. We can just hang out and we can ball up the leftover mashed potatoes and make little fried. They're almost like little, like a
Ooh.
latke tater tot
Yeah.
mix and match. We'll work on it, but it's just you and I. We have no one else to hang out with. Chris didn't even tell us he was leaving us.
I thought I did. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
That margarita she made for the party too was so goddamn tasty. I mean,
I
and
mean,
I think that's where I found myself just overserved after after guzzling down a few of those. Those were so tasty.
Do you
yeah,
remember the
I
name of
mean,
that couple? Sorry, that stayed after and they were like talking to you about the museum.
Yeah.
Do you remember their name? Because I'd like to give them a shout out because I talked to them too, but I don't know their name. They were really nice. I'll cut this if we don't know it.
the one
I'm
that you work with, Chris.
no, not the one that I work with.
Okay,
These
I
were
didn't know
two
if we were
guests.
doxing people.
These were two guests, and I know who you're talking about.
Right?
It was like Aaron. Fuck. I can't remember, but he listens to the podcast.
I know, but I want to.
Shout out to Nick.
No, I don't
I
know
know
how any.
I met Nick, and he was a nice guy. But that's the coolest part about it is like the folks that listen. Like we try to be in the community and part of the community, and they are as well. And they were out there supporting the homies. It was a really cool whole heat and a hooting. What?
Also, also Eve's.
Your face just looked like you came a little bit.
Yeah, we got to see Eve's competitive nature to match that
Oh
shot of
my
her in
god,
field hockey. She is ruthless
asshole!
on
By the
Papa
way.
shot.
She was, I mean, she pushed you around, Chris, like a defenseman in the crease. She just beat your ass. I mean, everyone saw that you don't have a shot in Papa Shot from my accidental trailer I released. I did you dirty, and I apologize about that.
Yeah,
But
'cause I wasn't ready.
Eve did us both dirty.
You
She's a
won.
fucking, I mean, yeah, because I'm a superior athlete to everyone, but you're a villain in that box. Goodness gracious, you were like hitting me in the face and shit. Rasheed Wallace.
Dude, cue cue old video footage of Patrick Ewing, because that's what Eve looked like, just throwing fucking nasty bows in a non-contact sport. We were just trying to like have a friendly competition, and it just goes to show you you're competitive at heart.
I never said I wasn't.
No, we knew it from the Getty images, but at the same time, I had not felt an elbow to my ribs like that since my senior year in high school. God damn.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But I mean, in addition to the great food, we teased the Ricky seltzers earlier, but shout out to our friends over at Mr. B's. For those that are listening and you're sticking around town, maybe you want to enjoy afternoon libations with me and Eve. I get it. But if you have family coming to town, or maybe you're driving out, you need to swing by one of Mr. B's 3 locations. They have unbelievable wine specials this week for the Thanksgiving. And we loaded up right as they started last Friday and Saturday. I mean, Beaujolais on discount, and everyone knows that it's a red wine season once the weather's kind of gets a little chillier, but a lot of folks still like the white wine. So they have the chilled, but if you're looking for that lighter red, I think we drank 20 bottles of it, Chris. I bought backup boxes of wine in case, but everybody, once we realized that we just sank all 20 bottles of red wine, people just started going for the Doña Loca mezcal and tequila. It was one of those nights, man. You know, it was one of those nights.
And I feel like when you have a fire going like that and it's cozy, it just invites everybody to hang out late.
That's pretty much all the incoherent ramblings. Do we probably need to talk about anything else? Did something else happen to us this week? Go for it, Chris.
Well, what's everybody doing for Turkey Day?
I'm going to be volunteering with our friends over at MADSgiving, and then I'm going to hang out with Eve on Thursday, right, Eve? Are we hanging out? No, we're not hanging out. She has zero interest. We hung out a lot last week, so she has zero interest in seeing us in person this week.
And my kip fill for the year.
The fuck? We have a whole extra month.
I know, you're telling me.
That's rude. Chris, when do you fly out to Charlotte? Is there any restaurants besides Cookout that you're looking forward to trying? Or is it all family eating? And what do you put on your leftover turkey sandwich day after or later that evening? I'll ask Chris first, then Eve.
So it's funny, like we used to always go to my mom's side of the family for Thanksgiving. That was like her family's holiday. And sometimes we'd host, sometimes we'd go up there. But like now, since we do it, we go and we'll meet in Charlotte. My one aunt that lives in Charlotte can't cook for shit. And like she will say it. Like, so nobody wants her to be in charge of Thanksgiving lunch. So we're going to the like country club for Thanksgiving, which is kind of fun though. You get everything. So hopefully I can get a to-go box there. But then Friday's like our big day. We go over to one of my uncle's houses and we all kind of like sit around. We usually have like a big catered kind of spread or whatever. And we just sit around, watch football, drink, and hang out. So that's pretty much it. But I leave Wednesday. But I get to see like my sister moved to North Carolina this past year from New York. So get to see her new digs. And yeah, it'll be fun. So I forgot about the sandwich question though, but mine would be turkey, cranberry, stuffing, or dressing. That would be my sandwich.
I mean, that doesn't sound too bad. I mean, we didn't get into your cranberry or the stuffing, Chris.
I know those were a lot of stuff happened there. It got lost in the shuffle. There's a lot of food out there. But
There was a lot of
my
food.
sweet carrot casserole was out there. And I don't think that made it. I think that all got ate up.
No, I agree. I think it was a good time though. You know, like that's a great problem for us to have was that we had 3 buffet tables with a bunch of really great chefs. Camille from Lady in the Wild slayed it with the squash that was stuffed, the appetizers with hummus and all the beet dishes and other spreads. So like obviously we are not as good as these professionals in the kitchen, so we didn't need to have hours on the front page. And I don't think anybody was clamoring like, "Oh, we need more food," because that paired with the fried kugel desserts and our, I guess, baked goods from Get Rights and Legacy Pie, heavens to Betsy. It was great. I had a blast. I'm not going to play any more Papa Shop with Eve. That's the things I learned this weekend.
Those legacy pies were really good. Shout out to those guys because I'd never had one before, but that pecan pie was really good. And because it stayed out, one of them, like there were a couple pieces that stayed out overnight. I asked Kip a very legitimate question. I was like, it was pretty cold last night, so it's like it was in a fridge. So could I eat one of these pieces after I clean up? And he agreed it was okay. So I had a piece that was left out overnight.
Literally left outside. You ate it.
But It was like in the 30s.
No, I get it.
What do
Yeah,
you-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was still
I
good.
find that, yeah,
It wasn't
how
like
you're
cheesecake. I'm
talking.
not judging.
Is that a shot at me? I feel like that's a shot at me. I don't
Why
eat
did you eat?
cheesecake out of the garbage. That I don't
Well,
know.
now I feel like you do because that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was not there was nothing that
I wasn't
out
connecting
of
it
the
at
box.
all, and now I'm
No.
suspicious.
Okay, so I sometimes will
You've
eat
taken
things that are
cheesecake out of
left
the
out.
trash?
No, but that's a George Costanza. I ate some of that leftover stuff myself. And I'm just gonna say, I think it's kind of fucked up. I think we're assuming that, yeah, I've probably eaten out of the trash can before. Yeah,
It
sorry
happened.
about that. But at the same time, I would have eaten that cheesecake out of a trash can, but I ate it right off the plate. So thank you very much. Oh, okay. So I think that wraps it up. Thursday, we wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. If you are looking to find a way to help out in your community, check out MADSgiving at Miss Betty's Supper Club. I want to thank all of our sponsors from the event, Mr. B's, Ricky Seltzer. Oh, the Meraki Tops Flower Bar. Holy shit, that weed is great. And then our sponsors over at Bensk and Nove, wonderful products. We love their edibles. And then I want to thank y'all. If it wouldn't for y'all, that party would not have happened. So thank you so much. That's all I got. Fuck y'all. See you later.
You're welcome.
Until next week, y'all stay high, stay hungry. Happy Thanksgiving.
Gobble gobble.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I already said that, Eve.
I know, but I said gobble gobble last week, and I want people to have a nice Thanksgiving. Or
Say gobble gobble.
I did last week. It's okay. You can have it
It's
too.
all-
Okay.
Oh my God, look how happy Eve is this week. She's being so nice.